I do. All right, so when we start with the eye, we are going to do sort of the generic shape of the eye, but I want you to notice that the top eyelid is very solid and the lower lid is very, very light. So as I draw the shape of this eye, I'm going to do it on this one over here, so I've got a little more space. As I draw the eye, I am going to allow my marker to stay solid on the top. But when I'm trying to depict that lower eyelid, I'm going to let my marker skip, like that. In the corner of the eye, there is a tear duct. Zoom out a little bit. There's a tear duct. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where I want the tear duct to go, and I'm going to just stipple a line so that I can leave that tear duct untouched for now. Then I'm going to add this upper eyelid crease, but you can see, again, I'm not doing it really dark or really solid. I'm just going to keep it kind of easy and skipping. Now you can apply different pressures on your pen. If you push down really hard, you get a solid thick line. If you push very lightly, you can get something a little bit less intense. So think about line quality as you're making your marks too. All right, so the next line I'm going to make is going to be for the iris, and the iris is the colored part of the eye. So whether you have somebody with light eyes or dark eyes, there's usually a dark ring around the iris, so you can go pretty solid on this line. The thing to pay attention to, obviously, is the placement. You have it all sorted out with pencil, but for sure the top of the iris gets cut off. Sometimes the bottom does too, but not always. So as I'm drawing this sort of pretend eye, I'm just going to draw a line so that the top of it gets cut off. Maybe the bottom, maybe not. If you want the eye, and you should want this, the eye, to read as reflective, that can give a lot of personality to the person you're drawing, to get that glint in the eye. So you're going to want to maybe mark out where you see some of the reflections, and I always just do that with stippling, so I just kind of know, okay, I'm going to try to leave those areas white. Just to kind of remind me it's there. And then I'm going to draw in the pupil. Now the pupil does not get cut off by the eyelid, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see. It goes in the middle of the iris, and it is black. So once you draw it, you can shade, but leave the, if the highlight or the shine falls within the pupil, don't shade that, but shade the rest in, and this you can just do solid. Shade it in black. Hi.
Selena Cabrera.
Okay. She's coming. Is it urgent?
Well, they just told me they were going to come down.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
As far as the colored part goes, if you have light eyes, this is just like hair. If you have light hair, you do fewer lines. If you have dark hair, you do more lines. With eyes, it's the same. If you have light eyes, you do fewer. And if you have dark eyes, you do more. So if you have light eyes, you can just throw in a few hatch marks. You don't want them to look like stripes, because if you make them look like stripes, it looks like a bicycle tire instead of an eye. So it's hatch marks. So if you want it light, you can leave it like that. If you want it dark, you can keep going. Now, on this example here, I added eyelashes, but I would caution you guys that I would really probably only add the eyelashes if you're drawing somebody wearing makeup. If you're drawing somebody who's not wearing makeup and you add eyelashes like this, they'll look like they're wearing makeup. So instead of doing that, instead of actually adding the eyelashes on for this one, I'm going to leave it. But I am going to do a little stippling on the eye, which is going to help make it look a little more three-dimensional. So if you can, you're thinking about the eye, it's an eyeball. So if you pop your eyeball out of your head, right, it's round. It's not flat. It's not eye pancake. So if you want it to look round in the head, you're going to want to add a little bit of shading. So I am going to add that shading, and you can see I did it on this one. There's a little stippling in this corner. There's a little stippling in this corner. And the other thing I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to stipple along the top of the eye. And the reason that I do that is because there is a thickness to the skin. And you can see it on the bottom. Some people call it the waterline, right? Like the thickness of the skin of the eyelid. You can't see it on the top because it's above eye level, but it's there. And it casts a shadow on the eyeball. So I'm going to shade both sides with just a little bit of stippling, and then I am going to carry that stippling through in the form of a cast shadow along the top of the eye. So it's not an eyelash, it's a shadow. So if you want, or you are drawing a person who is wearing mascara, you can add some eyelashes. I would tell you that when I'm drawing eyelashes, I chunk them just like hair, because especially when you put makeup in them, they tend to chunk together rather than all be individual. You can try it with pencil before you ink them to make sure they look good, because if you get them flared out or too individual, just like the hair on the top of the head, it ends up looking like, a squash spider on somebody's eye rather than some eyelashes. The other tip if you're drawing eyelashes is you usually see most of them right here. They grow sideways here, but then when you get to this point, they tend to start growing forward, so they fall right on top of the eye. So I usually just add a few to the end over on this side. So I'm going to leave this one without eyelashes. Okay, and then the last part is I'm going to add the, I could do a little stippling on that tear duct if I wanted to, so it wasn't so white. The last part is I'm going to add the eyebrow. Now the thing about the eyebrow is a finished eyebrow is usually longer than the eye. A lot of times people think it's exactly the same width as the eye, and you guys can see it in your picture when you've penciled it out with the grid, is that it's usually a little bit longer. The other thing is that the hair grows in different directions, just like it does on your head. It usually starts growing up, and then it turns sideways and starts growing sideways, and then on the top it actually grows down. So if you have your contour of your eyebrow penciled in, I don't here, but then you're just going to fill it in. I start by going up, then I allow the eyebrow to start going sideways, and then I go back and I add the hairs that grow down from the top and how they crisscross over. And then I can thicken it up, especially in the middle. And again, it's going to make a difference if you have somebody who's got like tweezed eyebrows, waxed eyebrows, loose eyebrows. You may want to add a couple little clicks like that if it's not tweezed. But I'm going to add a little more thickness to the eyebrow and towards the center. Like that. So there's the eye without makeup and with makeup. The only difference really between these two eyes and maybe looking one more feminine and one more masculine is that on the one with makeup or mascara, I have eyelashes. And then on this one, I've kind of got some loose hairs in the eyebrow. Okay, so last is lips. Now, people always say, how do I do the lips? And I'm going to show you, because it's quicker, the way I did it here, the basics of the lips. But the thing I want to remind you guys is that lips are skin. Therefore, they should be stippled. My example is not stippled just because I'm trying to do it a little bit quicker for you guys. But you guys should stipple. It is skin. It's just a slightly different color skin. But there's some like basic principles to kind of pay attention to in terms of shading lips. And that is that the top lip is usually darker, not always, but usually darker than the lower lip. And that's because of the way the light hits it. Your lower lip sticks out, so it catches light from a reflection. Your lower lip curves in, so it's getting like a cast shadow. So when you're drawing the lips, and I did this as a very sort of stark example to show you, you really could only do the top lip, leaving the entire bottom lip alone, as long as you get the cast shadow on the chin underneath this lower lip. That lip will show because it's the negative space. So when I do lips, and again, I'm going to do this with cross-hatching just to make it quick. I draw the top lip, and again, it's going to be stippling, so I'm not going to outline it. Don't outline anything as you get started with ink. Everything you outline gets flattened. So if you feel this really strong urge that you must outline, you're like, oh, I don't know what to do, how to start, I need to outline. You can outline it, but do it in a stippled line. So when it's like the real lips, you're going to want to do this. Okay? Yeah. I was off the page. Thank you. I forget sometimes. So for this example, because I'm going quick, I'm just filling it in solid with some cross-hatching to show you. But on your ink portrait, do it with some stippling because it's skin. It's just a different color skin. So if I shade the top lip in dark, and then I stipple the cast shadow underneath the lower lip, where the skin is, they appear, the lips appear. You can do some stippling on the lips if you want to. This is kind of a graphic example to show you, like, hey, you don't even have to do anything with the lower lip and it's going to look good. As long as you kind of pay attention to that shadow underneath. So that's really, really fast. And you would have more stippling on the rest of the skin. But those are the basics. Shade the top lip dark, skip the lower lip, and then shade the shadows around the lips, whether that be the chin. You can even add this, you guys will get a shadow up here eventually. There'll be more shadows around it, but all that's going to make the lips kind of pop out. So that's it for me today. Whoa, I'm flinging stuff. That's it for me in terms of me showing you. So I want to get you guys started with your ink. So I'm going to give you the rest of today, and then tomorrow and the rest of the week to get going on that. All right, so go ahead and get started, and I will work my way around.